Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Marvels. And this movie came out in 2023 and is directed by Nia DaCosta, the same director who did 28 years later The Bone Temple. And that's a movie that I really enjoyed. And going into this movie, I was expecting kind of a disaster, and I wasn't really expecting to see a voice in this movie. And much to my surprise, I felt as though this movie was kind of, in ways, better and worse than I was expecting. It wasn't a disaster like I was afraid it might be. It was much better than Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. I'll give it that at the very least, but it's also not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, Thunderbolts, and also The Fantastic Four First Steps. Those I feel are just overall better movies. But it's better than Captain America Brave New World. So it kind of sits in a place where I would categorize it as fine. I felt as though the visual effects looked great in this movie. They felt as though they were a part of the environment throughout, and I was happy to see that. There's fun animation in the beginning, which I found to be kind of fun. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And for the record, I've never seen Miss Marvel, the show, but I was kind of somewhat moderately intrigued to check it out, possibly at some point. I don't have Disney Plus, but if I ever come across it, I might check it out. Because Miss Marvel, as a character from this movie alone, I didn't hate her. Like, I didn't walk away thinking any of these characters were annoying, for the most part. There were some annoying comedic relief characters for sure, but for the most part, I wasn't super annoyed by the humor because it wasn't super present throughout. And there were some nice looking visuals that I enjoyed, and the action scenes were surprisingly kind of fun and not completely dull. And I wasn't bored while watching this movie, and this movie is really short. It's like an hour and 45 minutes, and I was like, wow, that moved along pretty quickly. And Nick Fury, he was kind of funny in this movie, which he always is, but still, it's nice to see him, and Samuel L. Jackson I like in this film as well. But to get into my issues with this movie, I do feel as though this is a better movie than Captain Marvel from memory, and this is kind of a sequel to Captain Marvel. In that movie, I remember her character just being flat and forgettable, whereas in this movie, sure, that's kind of the same thing here, because her character's pretty much invincible throughout the whole movie, but I did appreciate that they tried to flesh her out a little bit and give her somewhat of a sympathetic side, kind of somewhat. Like, they tried to give her something in this movie, which I can appreciate at the very least. I just wished it was handled with a movie that had a better script. And honestly, if the movie just gave us more, then I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more. But everything just feels so rushed in this movie. Like, they just want to get this out of the way so we can just move on to whatever's next. And also a setup for future movies, which is kind of disappointing because I do feel as though there is something here. They just don't really carry it very well. And the villain in this movie was just bland and forgettable. I don't even remember her name. There were also some really dumb moments where characters just coincidentally decided not to use their brains for whatever reason. Like, I don't know, maybe it was unavoidable to do some things for them to happen in the way that they did, but I don't know. I was just thinking of, like, why aren't you using your powers to stop this? And also, the way things got resolved was kind of dumb, and it was just like, oh, maybe you could just use your powers to fix everything for the villain if you just used your powers in that way. I was like, really? This whole time you could have done that. I found that to be incredibly stupid. And also, going back to the pacing really quickly, because this movie felt so fast paced and so rushed, I felt as though this movie was ultimately a film that had a first act and a third act, but very little second act. Like, there was barely anything that felt like a second act, honestly. Like, that's ultimately what this movie needed was something to care about and, like, to slow down and flesh out these characters. And they kind of try to do that, but there's just not enough time given to it for it to really matter. And that's about all I have to say about The Marvels. It was not terrible. I didn't hate this movie. I just wished that it was better and the film was a bit more confident to flesh everything out because, unlike some of the other bad MCU films where they overstayed their welcome, I do feel as though possibly if they were a bit more comfortable with this one and actually decided to develop things more in the way that they were doing so in this movie, I felt as though you could have had a pretty solid film and it would have worked pretty well. Like if it was just 2 hours, I think it would have worked a lot better. But unfortunately, you can only imagine like the potential of what could have been instead of just this flat installment that we have now. So, would I recommend this one? Kind of, maybe. I don't know. If you have literally nothing better to watch and you want to watch an hour and 45 minutes, so that's just going to be light and breezy and fine, then sure. If you're a Marvel purist, then you've probably already seen it. Or if you haven't seen it yet, then I don't think my recommendation is anything you need to listen to. But if you're just a casual watcher, then I don't know if you need to watch it. There's much better Marvel movies that you could be watching. Like, I've named off all of them, or at least the ones in Phase 5. I believe Phase 5 starts with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but I could be wrong about that. And overall, this was all right and harmless. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give The Marvels a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of The Marvels, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Decision to Leave. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.